Hello and welcome. You're listening to Start Again with Shauna Lee, the place where you will be reminded that it's never too late and you're never too old to do the damn thing. So stick around if you're ready to vibe higher and be inspired to chase your dreams. Together, we will uncover your soul's truest desires. Now, if you're ready, let's get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode. I am going to introduce you to a new friend today, Joanna Armstrong. She is doing some similar work in the world that I am, and so I am eager for us to jump into this conversation. Joanna, thank you for being here.
Ooh, thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
I'm really excited because this is both our favorite subject, isn't it?
Yes. So you were telling me a little bit about before we hit record on how you have embraced this idea of starting again throughout your life, and that is the first question I like to ask people. So I always say, tell us a little bit about yourselves, but also specifically, how have you embraced this idea of starting again? It tends to be a good intro question.
Oh, it's happened so many times. It's countless. And I've turned it into a profession. I've turned it into, or it's actually calling, isn't it?
Yes.
So when I did listen to these things that came up that wanted me to open another door, not the one I wanted,
Yes.
the universe has a way of like pointing to these doors, and we don't want to or have trepidations about going through them, or because we're facing another direction. But if you do, when you do, it might feel like a defeat in the moment, but when you do follow those nudges and those strange callings, and amazing things happen. So yes, it's all about that, isn't it?
It is. And I love that you have turned this into a profession that you identify as a calling. I can resonate with that completely. I actually started my business when I was reeling from my third divorce and thought, "Oh my God, my life is over. This is it. I have failed for the last time." And I
Right.
had a moment in meditation when I had always heard the whisper to write a book. And, we hear the whispers from the universe, and then we get the nudge. It's almost like a little nudge behind us, almost knocking up against us. And when we continue to not listen, the nudge or the whisper gets louder and louder and louder. So anyways, I finally heard write the damn book. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to write this book. Little did I know it was going to be all about teaching people how to start their life after divorce, when that meant I was going to have to admit to the world that I had been divorced 3 times. And there was nothing more scary for me than admitting that very publicly to people over and over and over again. And who knew way back then that thing that was so scary for me was really going to be the thing that helps me change people's lives and leave the world a better place. And I thought, well, okay, here I am. I'm going to do the thing. So anyways, it sounds like you've done the same thing. So tell us a little bit about your business, Blissy Joy.
Yes, thank you. Well, the first time that I remember anyway, I was at this crossroads. I had gone through school the traditional way, and I was about to have my own a possibility for my own choice. So the university was my own choice. It was this wide open, gaping. The world was out there, and what to choose. And it wasn't really very simple. I found it a huge challenge because there were so many choices, and it felt like the choice I was to make was that definite choice. So it felt very painful because this was the choice. The university, lots of hours, and I live in Sweden, and our universities are free, but the time and the effort, and it just couldn't go wrong, right? It's that feeling of I have to have the right answer here.
Yes.
In desperation, I lifted my hands, or maybe not my hands so much, but my gaze up to the heavens and said, what am I supposed to do? And I got an answer. Lo and
Mhm.
behold. And this was the first time I did get this answer.
Yeah.
And but I got really upset. I got so angry because the answer was like so inane.
Yes.
You are supposed to make people happy. Well, which
Yeah.
university course is that? What direction is that?
Yeah.
I didn't want
Yeah.
to be a nurse. I didn't want to be a doctor. I knew what I didn't want, but how do you make people happy? So a few years later, many years later, and lots of stories later, yes, that's what I'm doing. And my business is actually called Blissy Joy because I've also been called to write that book.
Love it.
And it's still not sitting completely right. But I've written two books so far. But the one that is still not wanting to come out easily
Mhm.
is the book on love power. So that's the one still in the process. It's in the making for years, but
Yeah.
yes, I've started putting it out on LinkedIn. Actually, that's my
Oh, I
first
love it.
attempt to making a statement that okay, let's see what this will bring. And the funny thing is that it's bringing things that I never expected, of
I-
course.
Isn't that the way it always goes?
Right. So as I'm taking these steps, all kinds of odd things and wonderful things and the timing, things just fall into place and it's amazing. And even this talk that we're having today about these new possibilities and embracing change, that's exactly where I am today. So,
Yes. Well, and I have found in my experience that, the first step is the scariest one. We take the step
yes.
and then we're led to another step and then we're led to it's
Mm.
almost like breadcrumbs, right? And we go to the
Mhm.
next one and then we go to the next one. And as we do that, we build our confidence and we trust ourselves a little bit more. I think we're really trusting our intuition to guide us. And the more we do it, the more confident we get. We never know where it's really going. We kind of have
Nope.
some ideas, right? We can set some big crazy goals or whatever. Um, but when we just kind of take our hands off the wheel and say, okay, I'm going to go where I'm led, that's when
Mm.
things get magical and amazing.
Mm. Yes.
And we just kind of
Yes.
allow it to be bigger and better than we could have imagined simply by, I think, let
Exactly.
our souls guide us to where we know we want to go. So
Yes.
anyways, I love that your experience is kind of mirroring my own in that way. So when we're talking about your books that you've written, tell us a little bit about the fastest way to stop stress and worry.
Well, on my journey, I have been attempting to follow these crumbs,
Hmm. Hmm.
and when I do that, it turns out that I'm supposed to do it in my way. I'm supposed to
Yeah.
be in the world the way I'm designed. And I'm designed to be somewhat impatient and eager.
Yes.
I'm very calm. I mean, when I'm speaking and all that, people think that I'm a very calm person, but on the inside, it's a different story altogether.
Yes.
So on the inside, I want I want people to not suffer. So the work I do with Blissy Joy, with EFT-tapping, and all these other additions now with Love Power, it's all about getting there fairly rapidly. And of course,
Yes.
you have to be careful because you don't want to stress people, and it's not about stressing. It's the exact opposite. But it is the secret is to step back actually
Hmm.
and get a
It's
bigger
counterintuitive.
perspective, right? extremely, because we're so
Yeah.
trained to forge ahead.
Hmm.
But the secret, the biggest secret in all of this, and it's like this philosophical answer as well, that when we step back, when we don't have to have it our way, the universe has a chance to help us, to point even clearer, to whisper louder.
Hmm.
And and that's the secret. It's that co-creation, isn't it, that people
Yes.
talk about
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful.
It
It's
it is.
gorgeous.
It is when we learn to get out of our own way, essentially.
Mm, exactly. But not, well, it's a co-creative process, isn't it? So because we do have certain drives and dreams and wishes, and we do have some sort of an idea of what we would like to experience.
Oh, sure.
um,
As we
but
should.
maybe, right, so it's not getting out of our way, but taking help, I suppose, stepping
Hmm.
back and joining a force that knows so much more than we do,
Oh,
and
sure.
allowing ourselves to be guided in this desire. So,
Yes. Yes. So, in my own experience, what it has felt like is all of those things, but um, allowing myself to be supportive
mm,
is one of the biggest life lessons I've encountered. And it was one of the ways I got in my own way of where I wanted to be. So I'm also the self-proclaimed impatient person, and I am always anxious and eager and ready to do the next thing. Um, but oftentimes in that, I felt the need to be in control and to drive the ship.
mhm,
And so,
mhm,
me kind of allowing myself to be supported, and kind of get out of the way, take my hands off the wheel, allow other people to come in and be on this journey with me, but also allow the universe to make it even more incredible than I could do on my own.
right.
That, I think, for me has been a game changer, being able to just say,
Mm.
okay, this is where I want to go, and I want to go there fast. And I love to drive fast. So, like, everything about me is like, let's go, go, go. But being
Mhm,
able to just say, okay, this is the direction I want to go, but not be the one steering it, and not be the one saying, okay, this is what we're going to do here, 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 but just say, okay, this is where I'm going. What's the best way to get there? And kind of allow it
I
to
like
happen
that.
from there
Right.
is a much easier, flowier way of existing.
Mm.
And every time I've done this, so this is it's a little bit of a struggle for me to actually do this. It's one of those practice what you preach moments for sure.
Yes.
But when I have been able to do that, I get there faster, and
Mm.
the journey is so much more enjoyable, and there's some more fun
Mhm.
along the way. Like, it's so much better than I could have done if it were only up to me. And that
I
really is
agree.
where I think my get out of my own way is allowing it to be bigger and better than I'm still the one
Mm.
saying this is where I want to go, but maybe show me the best way there. And that, I think, has been a game
Exactly.
changer. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
I love it.
Well,
Exactly.
so in the course of your writing your books and starting this business, what do you think has surprised you most about this journey?
It would have to be that I need to eat a lot of humble pie. I a
Yeah.
lot, a
Yes.
lot. Because as you're saying, when you like to drive fast and you like to be in
Yeah, yeah.
charge, and you have that entrepreneurial drive, and you know best, and maybe you're a bit smart, and it's easy for you to learn and take on new things, and yet there's other things you need to learn. So
Absolutely.
and in that stepping back, as we're talking about, in that inviting other people, or the universe, or a higher knowing, that is humbling in itself.
Oh,
That is
sure.
is a huge lesson, that maybe I don't have all the answers.
Yeah.
So and everything we've mentioned about how the journey is so much better when you don't have to have all your answers, and you are a bit more mm, understanding. And of course I've had to graze my knees, and I've had all kinds of experiences in life, um, to understand other people that aren't as fast as me, that aren't as eager, that aren't, and have other perspectives, because lo and behold, sometimes they have a better solution,
Oh,
actually.
sure.
So,
Yes.
so this whole thing that is happening in the world now, we need to learn how to get along better. And
Mm,
this is all part of that, isn't it? That
yes.
the people that are like us, driving fast and are eager, they need to understand and get along with the people that do dot the i's and do cross the t's,
Oh,
which
yes.
might not be my forte.
Yes. Yes. Having the detail oriented people in our group is such a
Mm.
value add. Yeah, I think a healthy dose of humble pie is always necessary. Um, yeah, and I think those moments of admitting, okay, my way is not the best way, but
Mm.
here's what's done it for me. This whole leaning into other people's skill sets, understanding, appreciating their perspectives. When I get curious, instead of thinking that my way is the only way, which it's not,
Mm.
when I can get curious, it allows me to really appreciate the people around me better.
Mm.
And, oh, help me understand that, or tell me more. I think that has been a really good tool for me to use
Mm.
because I think initially
Nice.
when you are a go fast type of a person, you're so busy doing the thing and going fast that you forget that there's
Mm.
other people along for the ride, and they're having their
Mm-hmm.
own journey. But when we can kind of do things together, I think, we're not meant to
Mm.
do this life alone, but so much about how we are conditioned is that we should be independent and do things on our own. And so we have to kind of
Mm.
unlearn that we do need people and to lean on folks and to build our community and lean into our support groups. I think all of that is super valuable. um,
Mm-hmm.
One of the things you mentioned that before I went on my little monologue there, uh, that we didn't and haven't talked a whole lot about on this show is EFT. So let's
Yes.
talk about tapping and how that can help people to remove their suffering, for one.
Well, tapping, I love magic or
Hmm.
metaphysics or
Yes.
but it does feel magical. EFT does come across a bit magical. I have a clinic here in Stockholm, and this woman was standing outside. The window is a bit thin. I'm sitting on the ground floor. It's a storefront, if you will, and the window was rather thin, so I can hear this woman talking to her child. She's reading my little pamphlet, and she's silent for a few minutes, and then she says to this little child who doesn't understand anything of what she's reading, she says, "Oh, this is too good to be true."
Oh, yes.
And yes, it does come across that way because it does work very quickly. It does work on so many things. And you can do it yourself to a certain degree.
Yeah.
You can really, really help yourself with so many things. Not all things. So it's not 100% a self-reliant tool, but to, the more you use it, the more you tune into it, the more you try it in
Yeah.
all areas of life where difficulties show their little faces. um, it does come across as magical because it works on the whole system. It's based on acupuncture points and the release of chakras or energies, the release of muscle tension in the body. It actually encompasses several methods. So EMDR is part of it, visualization is part of it, and all together it goes into the body. So it's an extremely holistic method and very, very simple. Uh,
It is
it
very
takes just
simple.
a few minutes, right? It takes a few minutes to learn and years to perfect. So, of course, I've been doing
Mhm.
this for 15 years and I've been helping people with all sorts of issues. So when you're a therapist, when you're in my seat where people come to me to get sorted out, they don't necessarily want to learn the method. Some people do.
Yeah, yeah.
Then you do need to be more fine tuned and listen into what they actually need, which aspect of these things. There's this myriad of little methods that EFT encompasses. Um, should this person be treated with now? What do they need for this particular angle of their issue, and et cetera, et cetera. And that's why it's not completely a tool for self help, but you can get very, very far.
Yeah, no, and I think that's a really good point that you're making. So I think EFT is one of those tools that we can use to kind of get started on our own, right? And then I think it's like anything else. So when it works well for you on your own, you'll know because it's working,
You know.
right? But when you're attempting to use the tool repeatedly for the same sort of issue and it's not working, so to speak,
Mhm.
that's when I always say you need another set of eyes on the situation, because that's when
Yeah.
someone can come in who is a mentor, a specialist, a coach, a therapist, and any of these people who are resources. They can kind of look at your
Mm.
situation and oftentimes see what's underlying and what's
Yes.
really at play that you have stopped seeing long, long ago. You've stopped seeing this thing. And so it just, another set of eyes sometimes is really helpful. But in order to get people started, would you humor me? Can we walk through an example of how someone might use EFT for themselves for something, relatively benign?
Do you have an idea of what that would actually? Why don't we see what we can help you with it?
Oh, okay. Sure. I'll be the guinea pig.
Yes, please.
Okay. Gosh, what is an example of something that I would want to use it for?
It doesn't have to be hugely painful. It can be, someone you're annoyed with or
Let's say
anything really.
uh, worries, unnecessary worries. I feel like this is
Hmm.
relatable. Most people can relate to this.
Yeah.
I have lots of children, and so there's always something to worry about if I choose to. And I would like not to. How about that?
Yes, sounds good. So, just generally, what would you be possibly worried about?
So, as an entrepreneur, it means money doesn't always work for me the way I want it to. And oftentimes, my children are asking me to spend money on things that I have not budgeted for or don't yet
Mm.
see the income coming in for. Uh, so I would say my children asking me to spend money on things for them that I would like to, but don't yet have the resources to do that.
Hmm. So, what kind of worry is that? Is that a guilt worry that you can provide as soon as they ask for it, or how would you describe it?
That probably summarizes it. Yes.
Hmm. So you're feeling guilt actually, as
Feeling
opposed to
guilt.
worriness.
Yes. Okay.
Hmm. Okay. So what you will do is the listeners can follow along, and they can also think of something that they can test this on, because it's the best to test on an actual issue. And as we just noticed, you start thinking that it's worry, but then when you get help from someone else, as we just mentioned,
Yes.
maybe it's something else. So, and that's why it doesn't always work, because you're fishing in another pond.
Yes.
Um, so let yourself feel whatever you're feeling. whatever, however you think to define this, and you too, Shauna. So just close your eyes, even, because then you can feel your feeling better. So let yourself feel, because it's about emotions. We switch out of negative emotions. We think it's a thought, but it's really a release, an emotional release. So let yourself um, put a value on this guilt or worry, and how much of it that you're noticing right now. So from 0 to 10, how much of a worry slash guilt are you feeling right now?
Probably a 7.
So where do you feel this guilt slash worry? Where in the body do you
In my
feel it?
stomach.
Right. And what color does this feeling have?
Mm. Mm. Well, I'm seeing all sorts of colors.
That's okay.
Black,
That's
deep
possible too.
purple, maybe a little bit of red.
Okay. So just feel this black, deep purple, red. Just feel the feeling. Just feel it in your stomach. And how would you describe the shape of this feeling? This worry, this guilt?
It's like a ball, but it has like spiky edges all over it, like lots of little spikes.
Right. So just let yourself examine this to understand it better. So just feel this spiky ball. It's purpley, blacky, reddy, whatever color it is. Just notice it and let yourself understand it even better. And then start tapping on top of the head. Just tap with your fingers, not too hard, not too loose, just so you can feel it. Tap on top of your head. And then tap between your eyebrows. Just notice this feeling. Tap between your eyebrows. Just notice that you have this guilty, worried feeling that you can't provide. And then on the outside of your eye sockets, and just tap and feel the feeling. Just let yourself understand it. And under the eye socket, just tap and feel and notice that you are feeling bad, guilty, worried that you cannot provide when the children come to you. And under the nose, and under the lips, and just feel the feeling. And then you can tell yourself, either aloud or in your mind, that I am okay in spite of this feeling. And then tap on the collarbone. I am okay, although I cannot provide immediately. Then in the middle of the chest, there are different points and different tapping techniques. So there are acupuncture points in the middle of the chest. So just feel the tapping, feel the feeling, feel the issue. See it as a picture, maybe. See the children coming to you. See yourself standing there or sitting there, receiving their gaze, their questioning. Why aren't you providing right now? And put down your hand, take a deep breath, and go back to the feeling and notice what's happening. So, what do you notice?
Well, I can tell you it got harder for me to feel the feeling. It took more and more focus to try to feel that. And then towards the end, I truly felt like it had disappeared. Like I could picture myself in that situation, and it did not feel scary or filled with worry or even remotely bad. felt like, okay,
Wonderful.
yeah,
Wonderful. And this is exactly how quick it can be. This is how simple it can be. And it's about reprogramming your pictures. It's about reprogramming the charge of your pictures, because we have pictures in our
yes,
minds. We remember things in pictures and symbols. So it's about recharging them. So now when you will have this picture, it will be somewhat less bad, let's say,
yes.
less
Less
worrisome,
bad is
less
good.
guilt ridden, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And either this will stay and this will be very helpful in the future, or you might need to re-tap on this a few times. So it's hard to say how permanent this is, but generally you can say that it's a very, very quick process. And for easier things, you might just need a few sessions. I helped a man a few years ago with his fear of flying.
mm,
And he came to me on a Friday. He was flying on a Saturday. And I said, look, I know this is a fast and amazing technique, but I can't promise anything.
yeah,
And sure enough, in one session he was done. And so from there on, he calls me his hero. So it can be
I love it.
amazingly fast. And it doesn't matter how long you've had it. It doesn't matter how big it
Yeah,
is,
yeah, yeah,
how difficult it is. um, you can get amazing results very quickly.
yeah. No, I love that. And the the point between the chest was a new one for me. So I think when I first learned about EFT, I thought, oh gosh, there's a right, like anything, right? There's a right way and there's a
Mm,
wrong way to do it, or I'm going to get the
mm-hmm,
order wrong, or did
mm-hmm,
I? And I liked how everyone has their own flavor, and the way you kind of walked through it was a little simpler, and it wasn't
mm,
repeating ideas. So I've had another person kind of illustrate how to do it, and they start with a thought and kind of guide themselves through, and through the process of tapping all the different meridians essentially, um, on a cycle, then they kind of work through the thought. But the way you did it was so much easier. Just go from one, and then you're identifying the feeling that you're essentially working with, and then through the process, and then you go to the visualization. Like that was a much simpler way to approach it. I appreciate that.
mm. Well, Bruce Lipton says that we are guided and driven, run up to 90% by our feelings. So when we go to get help and we talk about it and we talk about it and we talk about it, we're up in our mind. But it is about the feeling. And that is what guides us. And that is what makes us uncomfortable. And that's what makes us feel guilty. And all these labels that we have are all
Mm-hmm.
about what's going on in the body. And
Yes.
yet, that's not where we're taught to go when we're having issues. If anything, we're taught to avoid it. Here,
Yes.
have a cookie, don't cry,
Yes.
as opposed to, oh, what are you crying about? How does it feel? And doesn't it feel nice to get to cry it out?
Yes. Oh, for
That would be a
sure.
nice conversation to have.
Yes. I try to do this for my children. But
Good.
yes, because, with the little people, they're just learning. And the way that we have learned to navigate this world isn't really working out for us. So most adults are
Mm-mm.
having to unlearn what they were taught. And so I
Yes.
feel like this is one of the reasons I chose to work with single moms, divorced women, is because they are raising the next generation. So if I can
Mm.
teach them how to make themselves happier, more fulfilled human beings, they will then teach their children. And so it's this ripple effect that is my way of
Yes.
leaving the world a
Beautiful.
better place than I have found it. However, when you are thinking back to the younger you, before you've gained all the wisdom you have today and you've put all these tools in your tool chest, what advice would you give the younger you?
Not to take things so seriously. not to not to worry about which school I was supposed to be taking. But that was like a life and death kind of an issue back then, and all the things about yes, that it just relax about what goes on or what doesn't go on, or when
Yes.
you will meet Prince Charming and all of that stuff.
Yes.
Just let your head down, and you were mentioning that your thing for this year is having more fun,
Yes.
and yes, having more fun as opposed to figuring things out and getting it right.
The getting it right. Yeah. One of my favorite questions to ask is, what if you can't get it wrong? What if no matter what you
Mm,
decide, it's not wrong?
that's
Because
it.
in all reality, that's true. But we
That
feel
is it.
like each decision that feels monumental, we feel as if we might get it wrong. I have a friend,
Mm,
every time we go out to dinner, choosing what she will eat is a production.
mm,
It is a big decision for her. And I see sometimes
mm,
my youngest daughter does the same thing with, what is she going to wear today? Like each decision that
mm,
feels so big, I'm like, what if you can't get it
mm,
wrong? No matter what you
mm,
decide, it's right for you. And if we
mm.
approached that, I feel like, well, one, life would feel a whole lot easier. Uh,
Right.
but yeah, my advice to my younger self has always been just relax already because I took things so seriously.
Yes.
And, all these decisions felt so big in the moment. But had, if I were to go back and do life over again, um, I hope that I would have more fun. And so that's where
Mm,
I was talking to you about incorporating this idea of play into my life. This is my theme
yes.
for 2024, is just how can I play with things more? How can I have a little more fun and stop taking
Hmm.
myself so seriously? And
Yes.
listen, even if it doesn't work out, right? Like as if there's a thing, um, it'll be more fun along the way. So, how is that wrong?
Exactly. Exactly. And that is the whole point, isn't it? I keep
It
telling my
is.
clients because they come with issues and they want to have solutions to things.
Oh,
And I
sure.
say, well, what will you do when you get there?
Yes.
That station is really boring. The end
Yes.
station is
Yes.
dreadfully boring because you'll be
Yes.
stuck there for the rest of your life.
Then you're there.
Don't wish for an end station. Don't wish for
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
answer. Uh, Take a journey.
Yeah.
Be on
Well,
the track.
it always reminds me of, I don't know if you're familiar with Abraham Hicks, but they tell this story about how we as humans tend to approach life. And it's like this idea that you're going to go on vacation and you're going to get on a plane and fly somewhere and have this incredible vacation. And then ultimately, you're going to get on the plane and come back home. And they're like,
Mm.
if you approach that vacation the way humans approach life, why bother going? Because you're just going to end up in the same place. Why not just stay there? Well, when you say
Mm,
it that way, people are like, well, that doesn't make any sense because I would have this whole fun experience of the vacation. It's like, exactly. It's about enjoying the
mm.
experience as you go.
Yeah,
I love that analogy.
exactly.
It helps
Mm.
visualize what we're talking about for me.
Hmm.
And speaking of visualizing, when you look forward to what comes next for you, what do you now believe is possible for your own life?
Ooh, I'm on a new adventure again,
I love
and
it.
after yes, it's so exciting, and this one will have all those elements that we've been talking about. It will have collaboration. It will have other people chiming in. It will have me not having to do all of the work. It will have other people helping out and quite possibly creating a better solution. So yes, I'm delving into a brand new project, and it feels really amazing because it
That's
will
awesome.
have all the elements that yeah we've been saying are good to have.
Yeah. Well, and regardless of how it ends up, you'll probably have more fun.
Exactly. It's fun already, and I have barely started.
I love it. I love it. Well, let me ask you one last very important question. How can my listeners find you?
Well, it's the easiest way is to go to Blissy Joy. So BLISSY and joy.com. And I have all kinds of information there and free trainings, how to use this method EFT with the
Oh, good.
addition of love power. So you can start practicing with a step by step guidance.
I
So
love
go
it.
ahead and test it.
Fabulous. Well, I will be sure to include that in the show notes. But I am so appreciative of your time. Thank you for spending a little of it with me today. It was very nice to
Thank you
meet
for
you.
your time. And the same. Thank you very much.
Hey, hey, my friend. Thank you for listening today and for leaving a review. Those reviews mean so much to me and they help this podcast grow. I just love reading them. So if you haven't left one yet, please do. Now listen, are you having your own start again moment? If your next chapter is filled with uncertainty, my new Start Again guide will get you pointed in the right direction. You can download your free guide today at shaunalee.com/startagain.